Jay Haynes for the Film Sensei YouTube channel. Today in this video, we are going to do this glowing decay effect in HitFilm Express. So you might think that I used the new Surface Studio effect in HitFilm Pro, and you would be thinking wrong because I'm actually using HitFilm Express and I am working in version 11, but you can do this effect all the way back to version 4, and it still works because that's when the parallax effect was first added to HitFilm Express. So we are going to go ahead and create a new composite shot, and I'm going to make it 10 seconds long to match the voiceover that I just did, and the graphic I'm going to create will just be a new text. So I'm creating a new text, and I'm just going to type in the letters glow, and then I'm just going to sort of build these or create this, and just know that it isn't necessary for me to have a text be the graphic. It can actually be anything that you want. I'm just going to use a text. And then when I am satisfied and I like what I see, then I'm going to right click on it and say make it into a composite shot and call it graphic. So this will be the base graphic that I am using. In the main composite shot, I'm going to go ahead and add a light and a camera to go with that light. I'll go ahead and turn off the crosshairs, the floor planes of the camera. And that light I'm going to rename to be the front light. And I will do a couple of things to it. One is I'm going to make it, instead of being a point light, I want it to be a directional light. It will just create a more of an even light over it, much nicer. Also, since I'm going to have two lights in this scene, I'm going to go ahead and knock it down to 50 intensity. And I'm just going to go ahead and place this to the left by about 5,000 pixels, above the letters by about 5,000 pixels, and in front of everything by about 5,000 pixels. So now I can go ahead and right click on that and say duplicate, and I'll just go ahead and rename this the backlight, and it'll be exactly the same except that it will be on the other side. So here's a little trick. If I hold down the control key and I click on a number, it will change the sign of that number. So I'm just going to do all three of those. So now I have the backlight over on the lower right hand behind corner and the front light in the upper left hand in the front corner. If I go ahead now and add a parallax effect, you'll see that this will work. I'm going to put this on the graphic. And if I open this up, I can change it to an inverted map. And then if I extend the depth to 200, you can see it sort of is creating an extrusion like an effect. And I can have that, or I don't need it. I can use it or not, but I think I will go ahead and leave it here for now. And I'm just going to rename it the parallax extrusion because there'll be a couple of more parallax effects that I'm going to use. Next, I want to go ahead and create the Fractal Noise plane that will act as my decay map. So I will create a new plane layer and click OK. And I want to go ahead and add a Fractal Noise effect to it, dragging it on. And if I open up the Fractal Noise, there's a couple of things I want to change. One is I want to change the scale under the transform properties of the effect itself. Not of the plane, but of the effect, and I can just kind of scale that down to about 50 or so. Yeah, 50 is good. Let's go 50. And whoops, 50. And also under the subsettings, under the appearance, I want to go ahead and up the exposure to about 1, make it a little brighter. And then I'm just going to go ahead and keyframe the offset. So let me just pull this down, and you can see that basically I'm going to have it start at totally not visible. Keyframe that. Maybe come out to about 8 seconds and just draw it back so that it's somewhat visible. Maybe there. Okay. And I'm going to make that ending one a smooth keyframe so it just sort of eases into it like that. Okay. And I'm going to be fairly happy with that. So what I will do is drag this to the bottom. and I'm going to go ahead and right click on it and say make it into its own composite shot. I do need it to be in its own composite shot, or at least under a grade layer. You can do it either way, but I'm going to go ahead and move all of the properties with it and click OK. So now here it is, and it looks very good. And let me come back, and I can go ahead and tick off the visibility of it, because it does not need to be visible to be used as a map for the decay effect. So let me go ahead and add a parallax effect to the graphic. And if I open this up and source the decay map, you can see there it is. I'm going to go ahead and pull down the depth a little bit, maybe to about 20, and that looks pretty nice, actually. I'm very fond of that. What I want to do is, though, I want to go ahead and duplicate that. And if I come in maybe about 1 second and I just drag it back, I can go ahead and add a second. I'm going to duplicate that parallax effect, and I'm going to add a second decay, sourcing the second decay, which is 1 second following. So what this basically means is that it's going to start in on adding the decay, and then 1 second later it will repeat that, cutting in deeper again. And so it sort of creates a layered effect, which is pretty cool. Right, and you can see how it just is pulling that after the fact. So it's a double layer effect, and I think that looks much better. Okay, that second layer is what I'm going to work the decay coloring on. So you can see now it's mostly very riddled with decay. So what I want to do is I want to duplicate that second effect, and I'm just going to bring it above the graphic, and then tick on the visibility. You can see that it's covering the whole screen. So I'm going to start by using a set matte effect, and by using that set matte effect and sourcing the graphic itself, I can restrict where it is seen, and I just want it to be seen where the graphic is. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to change the color of the white to be whatever I want it to be. So let's go ahead and add a tint effect. And in the tint effect, if I open it up, I want to tint 100%, mapping the white to whatever color I feel like. So if I want that to be, say, red, I can make it red. If I want it to be, green, I can make it green. If I want it to be blue, I can make it blue. Looks lovely, okay? Now I want to go ahead and remove the black parts, so we'll just use a keying effect, and the keying effect will be the demult key, which removes the black part. And so now you can see it's just on the mapping of where the decay is. I do want it to reflect, or not reflect is not the right word, but demonstrate the parallax effect of the of the graphic below. So I'm going to add a parallax effect to it, and I will open it up and make it 20 to match the other parallax effects. So now it looks like it belongs there, and yeah, that looks great. Okay, so now I sort of have this situation where it is expanding. Remember, it's starting to expand without the blue on it, and then 1 second later the blue starts to come in as the expansion continues, right? It looks pretty cool. Now we're going to go ahead and add the glow effects to it. So I'm going to add a glow, or search up for the glow effect and drop that on there. And I'm going to open this up. Let's make the intensity about 1.3. Let's make the radius about 70. Now let's make it 60. You can sort of play with these numbers to match your color scheme and whatever. Then I'm going to duplicate the glow, and opening that up, we're going to lower the intensity, maybe to 1, up the radius to say 100, and then I'm going to duplicate it one more time, and let's go down to about 0.7. and up the radius to about 140. This is a technique that I like to refer to as the Javert triple glow effect. Javert over at HitFilm likes to multi-layer, different glowing effects where he, starts with a higher intensity, and then each progressive one, he drops the intensity a little bit lower. At the same time, he starts with a lower radius and then ups the radius as he goes along, and it creates this very nice looking glow effect. Okay, one more thing I think I'll add to this particular layer, and that will be the auto light flare. I will drop this on underneath everything. If I open that up, I can, under hotspot generation, max number of flares, I can just crank that up to 100. And then I can drop the threshold. The problem is that the color's wrong. So if I open it up and change the color to match the color that I have here, and click OK, now I can drop this. I don't want to get carried away. I don't want it to be, whatever. So I'm just going to, like that. Just enough to really kind of have it, but I don't want to blow them completely out all over the place. Just a little bit, see? Yeah, that looks great. So now how do I create the streaks there? What I'm going to do is right-click on, let me rename that glow just so that I know what it is. If I right-click on that and duplicate it, and I rename that streaks, now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find the zoom blur effect and drop this on there. And if I open that up, I can go ahead and just up the strength to 100, giving myself a nice zoom blur. I think for this one, though, I can probably kill the auto lights flare, the glow, and even the parallax effect. And in fact, I can just go ahead and delete those. And so now, when we're finished, we have this. What I'm going to do for you is I'm just going to go ahead and save this project now and let you download it. If you want to have it, I will include it in the description below. Remember that you can make this any color that you want. So it could be red, purple, pink, green, yellow, dark blue, or any other color that you like. If you like this kind of content, please feel free to subscribe to the channel and like this video. Also, please feel free to follow me on Twitter and or Facebook for all of the latest information on the Film Sensei channel. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.